The Hoyer HPL700 is a 700-pound passive lift designed to assist in transfers for totally dependent patients and residents. Before using the HPL700, please review all operator and user manuals. The HPL700 is designed to operate by use of remote, and the remote's going to allow you to raise and lower the lift as well as open and close the base. In addition to the remote, you've got a battery mounted at the rear of the lift, and the lift actually comes with two batteries, one for use and one on the charger, so that you've always got uptime on the lift. Below that battery, you've got your emergency stop button. The emergency stop button is designed for two functions. During an emergency, we can push that button in, and that stops whatever lift is in process. And then after we've corrected and resumed, we can turn the button to resume. And also, when the lift is not in use, we want to push that button in because it turns the lift off, so the battery won't drain and you'll have charge as you need it. Again, pushing it in turns the lift off, turning that to the right brings the button back out, and you go back about your business. Below that big red button, you've got two emergency up and down locations, and with the tip of a pen, you can push in and actually bypass the control unit to raise and lower the lift in an instance where your remote's not working but you still have power. Below that, you've got two different identifiers. The one on the left is your battery meter, showing the amount of charge remaining in the battery, and the one on the right is your service indicator. When we talk about the battery indicator, we want to ensure that we check the battery for proper charge prior to using the lift. And it'll go like a gas gauge on your car from full to 3/4 to half to quarter. And when it gets below that point, it won't have enough charge to conduct a lift. So make sure you check that prior to use. And on the right, the service indicator light, which will identify certain usage levels that you can refer to in your manual. Below the control box on the rear of the lift, you've also got wheel locks on the rear wheels on both sides, and they simply lock by pushing down and unlock by either lifting up or pushing the lever at the top there. The only time we use the wheel locks is when we park the lift or when we're picking up a patient or a resident off the floor. In normal transfers, bed to chair, chair to bed, any other transfers similar to that, we won't use the wheel locks. We'll only engage them again when we're parking it or for storage, or when we're picking up a patient or resident off the floor. On the right side rear of the lift, we have straight line drive, and that's a lever that you can engage with your foot simply by pushing it over the caster like that. That holds the caster in place so that when you're driving in a straight line down a hallway, say, the lift won't veer back and forth. It'll continue in a straight line. And likewise, when we're using the lift, that allows us to pivot effectively rather than having to engage a lot more muscle when making the transfer. Simply disengages by swinging it back out of place. On the front of the lift, there's an emergency descent where my left hand is, and the emergency descent is designed for use if the lift shuts down for whatever reason, the batteries don't work, the remote doesn't work, and none of the lift is operating. Rather than having to manually lower the patient or the resident, we can use the emergency descent. And all I have to do is lift that up about a ½ inch with finger pressure, and as long as there's weight on the lift, it will lower. Moving to the front of the lift, we've got a 4-point cradle, and the cradle is designed for attachment of various slings, which we'll go through separately. The two cradle portions facing the patient are for the shoulder straps. The two away from the patient or resident are for the leg straps, and we simply make those loop connections that way. And at the front of the lift, you'll see here the scale attachment. The scale is for weighing your patients or residents. Operationally, on both sides of the scale, it's got an on and zero button. And when we turn that on, runs diagnostics and begins its process. The zero button, we push the zero button in and hold it until it says the word zero, and it'll actually reset itself. Next to the on and zero button is your pounds and kilograms button. This will actually convert for both weight measurements. And next to that is your recall button. The recall button allows you to recall the last weight that was recorded and saved on the lift. So in theory, when you weigh a resident or patient, that'll save that weight, and if you forget to write it down for whatever reason, you can go back, press the recall button, and go back about your business after having recorded it correctly. On the top of the arm, you'll see here there's a sticker with red for small, yellow for medium, green for large, and blue for extra large. There are color indications for different sizes of slings. And the HPL700 will use both the classic style slings and the Hoyer professional style slings, as long as they're rated for the appropriate weight, and we have identified the proper size and type of sling for our patient or resident.